Welcome back. President Trump says he's disappointed in Elon Musk as the two had a very public blowout yesterday, which started with what was in the big, beautiful bill and the lack of electric vehicle mandates that Elon wanted in there. Elon Musk wrote on X, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Democrats would have controlled the House and Republicans would be 51 to 49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude," Elon writes. Then the president fired back on Truth Social, saying he asked Musk to leave the White House, saying he, quote, took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. It comes as the Congressional Budget Office has a new assessment of the big, beautiful bill, saying that it will add $2.4 trillion to the deficit over the next decade, something that the Committee for a Responsible Budget has been saying. Joining me now is Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, a member of the House China Select Committee. Congressman, I want to get your take on what's going on with China as well. But first, let me get your reaction. So would the Republicans have lost without Elon Musk?
Well, Maria, good morning. I think President Trump is responsible for President Trump winning that election, and I'm proud to support his agenda, and I think that he helped carry me across the finish line in Iowa. I know that. Look, we're working on President Trump's agenda, which is what the American people voted for. It's lower taxes, no taxes on tips, making sure we're investing in our border security, unleashing American energy, and that's what we're going to be focused on over the next couple weeks, not this conversation that's happening on Twitter.
Has it gotten in the way of your work on the big, beautiful bill? I mean, the bill is now in the Senate, and you've heard your colleagues in the Senate talk about the fact that you need more cutting, you know, $37 trillion in debt, you know, that's going to $59 trillion by 2035. You're talking about $22 trillion in deficits, 10-year deficits. That's $2.2 trillion a year. Ron Johnson says he's a no in its current form. Rand Paul, same thing. Rick Scott, same thing. Are you expecting a much different bill when it gets back to the House?
Yeah. Well, I think we really threaded a needle through the House, Maria. As you know, we have a very narrow majority, and one thing's for sure, it's that Republicans do agree on more than we don't agree on, right? When we look at bills like this, we know we want to cut as much as possible. We know we don't want unfettered illegal immigration. We know we want to unleash the American economy, and that's what this bill does. And I think the real contrast here that we're dealing with, Maria, is the contrast with the Democrats, right? They're out there saying illegal immigrants should have Medicaid. They want to raise taxes on the American people. So I look forward to the conversation. I think the one big, beautiful bill is in good shape going into the Senate. Obviously, I want our senators to have a part in the conversation, too. But at the end of the day, when I look at those numbers that you just cited, CBO has been incredibly wrong. I mean, you look at how wrong they were about the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, $1.5 trillion off. They were wrong about the IRA. So I look at what this is going to do to the American economy. Iowans are telling me that this is about certainty. It's about making sure that they can spend their own money, keep more of their own money, and our small businesses are just so hungry for this certainty, and they're ready to grow and expand and create jobs in Iowa.
Congressman, let me get your take on the other big story that we're following, and that is that these two Chinese nationals have been charged with conspiracy and smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the United States. They worked at the University of Michigan laboratory, and they were charged with conspiracy, smuggling, and fraud. The FBI says one worked at the University of Michigan through Chinese government funding. She'll be back in court on June 13th. Her boyfriend apparently is back in China. Your thoughts on what went on here? The FBI arrested John in connection with these allegations related to John and Lee's smuggling into America a fungus called Fusarium graminearum, which scientific literature classifies as a potential agroterrorism weapon. It causes head blight, a disease of wheat, barley, maize, and rice. It's responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses. And we have a transcript of their conversation, which the FBI released. And their conversation surrounds how they're going to get this into the country. One asks the other, where did the seeds get put? In the tube? Jean says, I put them in my Martin boots in a small bag, the Ziploc bag, very small. Lee says, that's good, just put it in your shoes. Jean says, I stuffed them in the shoes. And then they mentioned the teacher that gave them the seeds. Lou says, Teacher Lang's seeds must be placed well. Jean says, where to put it? I only have one pair of shoes. The insole cannot be pulled off. Lee says, did you bring just one pair of shoes? Jean says, 3 pair, wear 1 pair. So what can you tell us about this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank goodness we have President Trump and Director Patel who are willing to take these people to task, hold them accountable, and arrest these people. But we clearly have an adversary here who is intent on undermining the United States. So this time it was bringing the seeds in. They've tried to steal the seeds from my district to take them out of the country, to reverse engineer them. So I think it's very, very clear they want to cheat, they want to steal, and they want to undermine the United States. So again, this is about accountability. We have to start looking at things differently and how we allow these students in, right? They allow 800 American students in, but we allowed 277,000 of them into our country. So we should be going into this eyes wide open with their intent. They are trying to access our research institutions and our universities, and then they're using all of their intel and they're bringing things in to continually undermine us. And we can't allow this to happen while they're using our technology, literally weaponizing it against us. So we shouldn't be funding our own demise.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I did a whole special on this called Underwriting the Enemy. It's good. You're right. We're funding our demise. I mean, we've got Chinese stocks traded on U.S. exchanges right now. And unwitting or witting investors buying those companies, that is, in fact, funding the expansion of the Communist Party of China. Because the laws are the laws. If those companies get an order from the CCP to give them information, to do something, then they have to follow those laws. So what can you do about it as an elected official? This is more than just, you know, oh, they're stealing intellectual property. Is this not a national security threat?
It is. I think about what this could have done to a state like mine, Iowa, where we grow a lot of corn and soybeans, Kansas that grows a lot of wheat, the entire impact to the American agriculture economy. It's why it's so important to take a look at our ag supply chain. What are we reliant upon China for? I've introduced a bill along with Senator Ricketts to do exactly that. What are our vulnerabilities? How can we as policymakers shore up those vulnerabilities and work with President Trump and Secretary Rollins to protect our agriculture industry? Food security is national security. The reason they're trying to cheat and steal our stuff is because they don't have the innovation that we have. They don't have the land that we have. They don't have the American hardworking spirit that we have in the American farmer. So I think that's the first step. The other step is, again, accountability. And I think that's exactly what we're starting to see under President Trump's administration.
All right, Congresswoman, we'll be watching. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Ashley Hinson, good to